2 years since MAM, now here I go again. To confine innocent men in a 10 by 10.
Hello.
Fates, oh, neither men deserve. But fear breeds silence in men to walk. You don't say nothing cause you know you're cops. But someone knows something, yet everyone plays ball. I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all.
Just sharing this on Twitter here, folks, as usual. Hold on.
Everything about the case was suspicious. I hope the biting teeth of justice isn't so vicious. For those who bred the lie, they temporarily preserve. From time into typos to Brendan's so-called confession, to the fact that Peterson was out of town when she went missing. How can we forget Andy, Sam, William, Henry Cole? I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. So much planted evidence now anyone can see. The magic bullet and blood in the eye.
Hello, everybody.
And even evidence that defies gravity. The key that turned up 7 searches later with none of her DNA at all.
Let's brain fingerprint them all.
I say we round them all up. Let's brain fingerprint them all. Who's pulling strings? I want to know that top rank.
I actually think it should be on iTunes as well. I intend to talk to Stacy about that.
They always know who would take the fall.
When him and I do a little call, I'm going to actually ask him about that.
I say we round them all up.
Let's brain fingerprint them all. Let's see here. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Hey, it's me. Hi. Put them all on iTunes. Yeah, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to see what he's going to say. He may, there may be a reason. I don't know. Could be that, he didn't have enough interests before, but, with MAM2 and everything, they may get, people may get more interested. I think they're great and they're awesome. He knows the case. That's the thing, when you listen to the songs, he knows the case. He knows it well. And that's something impressive that he's able to work that stuff. Some of the more intricate lyrics that he's able to work into these songs to try to capture, some aspect of the evidence or some aspect of the corruption in this case. And he does it brilliantly. And he's a very good musician as well. And he sings it pretty well. He's pretty good. I like Stacy. He's pretty talented. A plain shirt. Yeah, it's long sleeve because it's actually a little bit cold here. Tiny bit cold. Just about ready to go to bed. It's after midnight, but saw you were going live. Awesome. I'm glad that I create that kind of excitement that people somehow ignore the call to their bed. That means I have some pull. So that's humbling. Who's the guy talking? See, does he have an album? He is, as far as I know, he just uploads to YouTube. He's got a whole bunch of songs over there. Actually, if you go to his channel, he writes a bunch of songs that aren't necessarily MAM related. Some of them are love songs. Some of them are, they're actually pretty good. I've listened to a lot of his songs. But then he's got the group of the MAM collection, and he's been adding to that recently. He's added like 2 or 3 songs in the last month and a half, I think, or 2 months. So like We All Live on Avery Road, that's a recent composition. He just recently came up with that, and I freaking love that one. That one is awesome. I just love that one. Topic, can we save this child? You're funny, Susan. Can we save this child? Good to see you, bro. You're on the air. Hi, Random. See, it's 63 in LA. Not cold at all. You know, it's, I don't know, it's a little chilly where I am. I mean, I'm not running underneath the comforters or anything, but there's a little chill in the air. Let's see, I'd love for. Okay, guys, look, I'm used to the normal 80 to 90 degree heat during the day, so when it gets to around 60 at night, it seems like a little chill to me. Sorry. Yeah. Hey, Shona. Yeah. Sorry about that, Dan. You know, you guys, I honestly do wish to do these sooner. I mean, it's literally, honestly, I got home from work today, and as much as I would have liked to just gone live immediately, I need to actually give some lead time so that people have an idea to be aware that I'm going live. And then that also gives me time to do like work paperwork and get things out of the way before I go live. So, but I get home kind of late, and it happens somewhat often. So, I do my best though. I really do. I try not to go too late, but I mean, I think it probably works out for the people overseas, because then I end up being, you know, in a time that's better for them, you know. So I don't know. It's, but definitely on the weekends, I always try to go like, you know, sometime in the mid afternoon, or, you know, late morning or mid afternoon. I try to go at those times so that the people here in the U.S. Are going to be approximately in the same time range and be able to catch the live. So I do the best I can, and hopefully we'll work out a good pattern in the future where it won't be so, you know, treacherous for everybody. The topic for tonight is basically why the state of Wisconsin, Manitowoc, Calumet, all the agents involved with the Avery case, why they have basically sacrificed their benefit of the doubt. And what I mean by that, is some of you may or may not know that actually I'm like a pretty straight-laced law and order kind of guy. And what that ends up doing is that ends up usually making me tend to favor the prosecution or the state when I'm watching things. It's just kind of that way. But I also have a very keen eye for BS. And when I see the BS, once I see, especially now that what I've learned with Making a Murderer, once I see one little earmark of BS, I start wondering how much more is there to dig and find. So I certainly see things differently now. But I'm generally the type of guy that sides with, you know, the state and law enforcement. And when I say that the state of Wisconsin and Calumet and Manitowoc or whatever in this have sacrificed their benefit of the doubt, basically, they have sacrificed that they would normally get. That's what I'm talking about, because they have chose to act so badly in this in so many ways. It just starts in 1985, It starts in 1985 where they clearly pin a crime to Stephen that he didn't do. They pretty much knew he didn't do. Other law enforcement agencies were informing them that they were probably getting the wrong guy and that it was probably this guy, Gregory Allen, and they didn't care. And they moved forward, and they did what they did. So, and then even when he was exonerated, you still have idiots like Peterson going on Dr. Phil, back in 2016, and saying he still thinks Stephen's guilty of raping Penny Burnson. Can you be any bigger of an idiot? I don't think you can. I think Ken Peterson kind of takes the pie on that. because they didn't want to pay $36 million. Exactly. So the reason why I bring this up is because I constantly, we constantly see like Fassbender, right, out there on whatever show, and he's like, oh, I don't assess IQs. I don't understand why everybody's getting so upset about all this. It was done normally, like, when he goes on about all whatever, not acknowledging what we are all pointing out, not acknowledging that, and just sidestepping it and trying to play on, how come you guys are being so rough on us kind of attitude, right? I don't dig that. I don't dig that at all. And don't get me started on the we don't assess IQs or whatever. You moron, you're a freaking investigator. Investigators, part of the job requirement for being an investigator is you have to be able to size people up pretty quick, like on the spur of the moment. And if you have an entire weekend with that person and you still don't pick up on the obvious limitations that person has, you're either an idiot or corrupt. Take your pick, Tom Fassbender, because that's what you are. You're either a freaking moron or you're corrupt. Yeah, Fassbender makes me mad too. Well, at first he started out where he was actually uncovering things and it was favorable to Stephen, but then it got to the point with Lynn Hartman and all that where he had a whole different attitude by that time. Sorry. But he seemed to have a whole different attitude by that point. And I noticed that change too. It was weird, but at first he was, like I said, he was coming out kind of like in favor of Stephen and all that. And I think maybe partially still is, but I think he has issues with just the person that Stephen is. I think he kind of has personal kind of issues with the person Stephen is, but I think he still kind of believes that the investigation and everything that happened was wonky and just wrong, and so I think he's still kind of on board with the justice aspect of it. But yeah, he's been kind of falling out of favor, I gotta say. Hi Joy. They said they can tell if someone is lying. Right, like they have all these, great abilities, right? Oh, they can tell if somebody's lying. They can, all these things, right? Oh, but you can't tell after spending a weekend with Brendan Dassey that he clearly has obvious limitations. Whatever those limitations are, you didn't pick up after an entire weekend. That's why I say there's only two things he can be. Tom Fassbender can only be two things. He is either the biggest moron that ever walked the earth, or he's corrupt. Look it up yourself, Dave Bagaka. About it, watch his videos. He was on the beach that day, yeah. I just did live yesterday with Dave about that. I was hoping he would step in and help with this case. You're hoping who would? Fassbender? Dr. Phil, yeah. He kind of did, but I think he kind of lost interest in it. I still don't understand how they have gotten away with all this. Well, because they're the state. They're in charge. They're in control. I'm reminded of the John Mayer lyric. When they control the information, they can bend it all they want. And that's essentially what Wisconsin did. And that's what they're now they're just like shutting up, and they're completely silent and basically in full defense mode, and just clamming up. But they were clearly bending things when they were convicting Avery. But they're essentially in charge now, and so yeah, they're keeping themselves out of the who's going to do anything about it? The only person that can step in and make Wisconsin do something about this would be the federal government, which we now know AEDPA pretty much prevents. So that's why we're in this quandary of how all the things that need to get fixed in our system at the moment. AEDPA being one big one that needs to get fixed in a big hurry. And if AEDPA were fixed to where habeas relief could, would matter and mean something again, and the state courts would actually have to once again fear that a federal court might, do the right thing in a case, even if, for whatever reason, it will keep the state courts more honest. It'll keep them looking into all the most, modern literature and everything about coerced confessions and juvenile confessions and all those things. I'm sure that if they had to fear that the fact that federal courts could overturn convictions potentially, that they would start paying attention to what special care is, and they would start giving it, and they would start making sure it was given, and if it wasn't, they would start throwing out confessions unless they were done in a certain way. So the only way the states are going to do anything is if they have something to fear, in my mind. Kathleen Zellner's great, but she's only one person. Now, hopefully in the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to see a bunch more lawyers pop up, exoneration attorneys and stuff like that. I know Steve Drizzen over at Northwestern with Laura Nyrider. I mean, I know he cultivated Laura Nyrider for one, but he continues to cultivate young minds and law students and bring them into the fold of becoming wrongful conviction attorneys and stuff like that. And that trend's going to be good, because that's going to give hope to those who are in prison and wrongfully convicted that they're eventually going to be able to find a lawyer. That there's going to be enough lawyers out there that eventually, everybody will be able to find one that really truly needs one. Obviously, there's the problem with all the guys in there that did actually do what they were convicted of, and who just want to try and get out on technicalities. That's kind of, a problem too, obviously. But it's up to the system. That's why I say that conviction integrity and its CUIs are so important, because that is the DA's office itself self-correcting. It removes the litigation. It removes the adversarial process. And it allows the things to get solved a lot quicker than they normally would, and therefore, that when the people get out of prison, they are not entitled to the astronomical amounts that they end up getting after 12, 15, 20 years. The CIUs will end up catching these within 2 to 10 years, and the settlements will be much, much, much less than they would be if it was a hard-fought battle with attorneys in courts for years and years and years. You know what I mean? So, you understand what I'm talking about, right? So you can see how the CUIs are really, really a good thing, because they're going to help the states save themselves money and self-correct. And that's going to be a big help when that really starts to catch on, and all DA's offices are actively looking to self-correct like that. It's going to be a big deal. Zellner always tells her client, make sure you are innocent, because if you are guilty, I will find. Yeah, you don't want me to go out there and prove you're guilty. So make sure you're innocent if you hire me, right? They ought to interrogate everyone involved, and the way they did Brendan until they crack. And so that's what the song at the beginning is about. It's like, let's round them all up and let's brain fingerprint them all. Let's take them all down to what's his name, Dr. Farwell. Dr. Farwell. We'll take them all down to and get their brain fingerprinting done. Let's see. There's a jokester, Donnie Baker. He solves it in 3 minutes. I saw that today. He didn't solve. Yeah, he solved it. Yeah, okay. He solved it. Is it common for people in Brendan's situation to not ask for a lawyer? They reminded him he had Miranda rights, but did he really know what they meant? I don't think Brendan really understood anything. He kept asking to go back to school, when he was going to get back to school. He kept asking about it, because you know why? Because he wanted to be back at school, because he was supposed to meet a girl after school. That's why he was so intent about getting back to school. And the fact that he kept asking, when am I getting back to school, tells us he did not understand his Miranda warnings. He did not understand the gravity of the situation. He was just not equipped enough to be able to do that. And then to be subjected to the very sophisticated onslaught of the full read technique from Wiegert and Fassbender, kid was blown out of the water. King Kratz is on Dateline right now. He's on Dateline? Really? Is it an old one or a new? It's a new Dateline? Let's see. The thing about the day planner and it being in Hillegeist's possession sent chills down my spine. There's no way she had enough time to drop it off at home. Oh, absolutely not. There's no way she had that time. He mentions a project due for 6th period. He does. I think he's mentioning the project for 6th period because he doesn't want to. Because he's embarrassed about he's going to meet a girl. I just personally I just happen to know he was going to meet a girl after school that day. Family member even said she doubted Brendan even knew what rape was back then. I agree. I mean, he was just so green and so innocent and everything. I mean, it's just... Oh, yeah, he absolutely didn't stand a chance against them, Kim. Let's see. It's because they kept telling him he would be okay. That's another part of it. Old Dateline mashed into a new one. Oh, really? Interesting. I'll have to check that. I'll have to look into that after we're done here. Let's see. You okay, Erekose? You got a headache? Maybe a call from Dr. Pepper? I think I'm okay. Is something wrong? And also we can stop and watch Dateline if you want. Is that what you all want to do? You want to go watch Dateline instead? Wish that Erekose guy would shut the hell up. Post a copy of the new smashed into old upload for us Canadians. See, so sad that they got cozy with Brendan and slammed the door. Yeah, oh certainly. And all that crap about they say that Brendan or that Barb could have been there. She had the chance to be there but chose not to. How the hell are you gonna say that? How the hell are you gonna say she chose not to if she was in freaking court? She was in freaking divorce court because she was divorcing Tom Yanda. Right? So she was in divorce court that day until 2:30. The interrogation was pretty much over by 2:30. It was almost over. By the time she got from court to where Brendan was, it was almost over. It was pretty much over. Most of it was over. I mean, for them to say that, I mean, they just say these things in this case that are just not true, and it's just like, wow. Eventually more people are gonna see that these things that Tom Fassbender says and stuff aren't true either. You know, everybody's thinking, oh yeah, Kratz, but if we just put Kratz aside, don't you think he's still guilty? No, I don't. Look at Tom Fassbender. Ken Kratz, new possible suspect. He keeps inserting himself. Exactly, and Kathleen Zellner is pointing that out. She's like, he's like a moth to the flame. He can't stop himself. Read the new Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Made me upset to see them touch him. Oh yeah, when Fassbender's touching his knee and then goes over and sits next to him and puts his arm. He's putting his arm around Brendan. You know, whatever. I'm just like, oh, you creep. You freaking creep. They can lie and not be challenged. Absolutely. They can do that, yeah. Feral, me too, Shelly. I actually yelled at the TV. Stop touching him. Right. P.S. I love your impersonation, boy. Oh, thank you. Brendan was screwed over several times. Bad interrogations, bad lawyer, no money, people with an axe grind. Yeah, Amber Lee, have you seen my political cartoon, Amber? The artist is here with us tonight. I had the lovely Miss Susan Sexton create it. She's here with us tonight. Have you seen it? It's a camel with bales of hay on its back. You haven't seen it? Oh, let me see if I can get that up for us here. Oh, you seen it? You seen it? Okay. That's totally, when I was reading your comment right there, I was totally reminding me of my drawing, because that's what the bales of hay on top of the camel are, is like Len Kaczynski, the coerced confession, the press conference, O'Kelly, those are like the 4 bales of hay up on top. I mean, it stacks up and stacks up and stacks up with Brendan's case. It's like, when the hell is the straw, what's going to be the final straw that breaks the camel's back here? Because, geez. You love it. Thank you, Megan. We actually, I think she's still here. Maybe she had to step away for a second, but you guys may have seen her earlier. Susan Sexton. She is the one who I gave her a very rough sketch, and I gave it to her so she could get the idea of what I was thinking, and she took the ball and she freaking ran with it. And she has the ability to just get the facial features, to capture certain unique facial features about people. When you look at when you look at those cartoons of Ken Kratz and Tom Fassbender, they look like Tom Fassbender and Ken Kratz. I was just like, when she showed it to me, I was amazed. I was going, they look really good. It was amazing to me. I was just like, wow. Oh, Kelly's a sicko, absolutely. He tries to use his sexy voice. Let's see. Why aren't lie detectors used on the stand? A Bible isn't going to make liars tell the truth. Right. Very talented. That Susan Sexton. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. My God, another complete doofus. Right. O'Kelly makes my stomach turn too. Yeah. O'Kelly is a piece of work, man. Wait, that's Krat's sexy voice. I think he's MIA. What a great point, and they use it regardless of religion. Control question, I understand it, but when I'm retelling it, I always get confused on the pass or fail. Okay, I will be very happy to talk about the control question here. So the trick about the control question is you have to understand going in that it's not like any other question they were asking Brendan. It's different. And the reason why it's different than any other question is because they actually, they're not actually probing for information on this one like they are the rest of the time. On the times when they're going to tell him, be honest, Brendan, every time he guesses wrong, be honest, tell the truth, Brendan, and until he finally guesses right. On this question, that wasn't going to happen. But Brendan didn't know that. That's the key. Brendan did not understand that. He didn't know it was a control question. He didn't know it was a made-up fact. He didn't know these things. He thought it was just another question that they were asking him. The reason why that's important is you got to look at the way that Brendan reacts when they ask him other questions throughout the interrogation. When they ask him questions and he's guessing wrong, and they're telling him to be honest and stuff, you can tell he's in distress. And he wants to say whatever he can as quickly as possible so that the officers aren't, telling him to tell the truth or telling him to be honest. He wants to make them happy as quickly as possible. And he goes into an immediate, sense of urgency to not be in a disagreement with them, or to be giving them the information they want, whatever it is. He wants to give them what they want because he doesn't want them to be unhappy. When you understand that, so that's why with all those questions, he's already accustomed to the entire interrogation of that way, and that's the way Brendan's reacting. Okay, doesn't know it's a control question. So Tom Fassbender asks the question, which obviously we all know Teresa did not have a tattoo on her stomach. And so Tom Fassbender tells Brendan, we know that Teresa had a tattoo on her stomach. Can you tell me about that or whatever? And Brendan goes, Had they stopped right there, had they just stopped right there, then the control question would have been a success. If it would have been a success right there, because Brendan would have denied a fake fact. They made up a fact, and Brendan denied it, and that to them would have been enough to prove that Brendan actually knew that she didn't have a tattoo. You see, they'd be able to use that as kind of proof, right? That Brendan actually, was telling the truth, and that he knew she didn't have a tattoo when we told him that she did have a tattoo, right? So they'll use it as proof that Brendan was telling the truth. Okay, the problem is they didn't stop when Brendan said and Tom Fassbender goes one step further. I think because he didn't like the wishy-washy nature of the answer I don't think Tom Fassbender liked that very much. I think he wanted more like a definitive yes or no answer. And so he goes one step further and he asks Brendan, do you disagree with me when I say that? To which he's hoping Brendan will say yes, but Brendan doesn't. He immediately goes into defense mode because Tom Fassbender is saying, do you disagree with me when I say that? And he actually says it kind of sternly. And obviously Brendan immediately goes, no. Like a knee-jerk reaction. Brendan goes, no. Because he's been conditioned the entire interrogation. He's been conditioned. Mentally conditioned. And so when Tom Fassbender asks him like that, he immediately, like a knee-jerk reaction, without even thinking, goes, no. And then goes, but I don't know what it was or whatever. So he fails when Tom Fassbender asks him, do you disagree with me? And he says no. Because when you say, basically by saying no, he's saying he does not disagree with Tom Fassbender. And Tom Fassbender has made up a fact. So he's basically agreeing with Tom Fassbender's made up fact. And that is a problem. That is a huge problem, because agreeing with something fake proves that he is just saying whatever to please the investigators. That's really the whole where it all turns is right there when Tom Fassbender decides to take that one further step and asks Brendan, do you disagree with me? Which immediately puts Brendan on alert, and he immediately, like a knee-jerk reaction, spits out no, because he doesn't want to be in disagreement with the investigators, and then says, but I don't know what it was, or whatever he says. So that's what's important about the control question. So hope that makes it clear. Like I said, if Tom Fassbender had just stopped after Brendan said then the question would have worked out just like he wanted, and they could have used that and said, yeah, Brendan denied this fact. We told him she had a tattoo that she didn't have, and he said no, she didn't. He said she didn't have one. So they would have been able to use that. But because Tom went that one step further and asked it the way he did, which I think was a bad move on his part, because he immediately put Brendan on the defensive and made Brendan say no, like a knee-jerk reaction. And yeah, so still hated it. Okay, let's see here. Was anything done to Manitowoc sheriffs for being on the site of the scene? All that? No, nothing has ever happened to him. I don't get why it took so long for certain folks to say that Teresa did leave the property before or during the trial would have helped. Yeah. Well, the fact is that who the heck knows what the heck's going on with Bobby, because we have his brother Brian says that he was saying that day that Teresa had left the salvage yard. She had driven down Avery Road and left. And then he was in court saying that she was walking towards Stephen's trailer. Then it's Barb and Scott are on the prison phone with Stephen, and Barb is saying, no, Bobby's saying that she left. That's what Bobby is saying, she left. And everything. And then Stephen tells her, well, he didn't testify to that. So, and there was never an affidavit provided from Bobby saying that, she actually left. So it's like, and then we get the Calumet County investigation into Teresa Halbach that was opened at the end of last year, and they're talking to Bobby, and Bobby's saying she was walking towards Stephen's trailer. So, yeah, all kinds of, who knows what's going on there. Has such contradictory information, it's pretty scary. Yeah, sometimes they do. Ari, control question is a double negative. It's not a double negative. It's not a double negative. I mean, it kind of is, but it's really not. In order to be a double negative, the same person has to be saying it. But I get what you're saying in the sense that yes, it's two negatives. So you have to, it's by Fassbender asking it the way he did, he said, "Do you disagree with me?" And Brendan says no. Well, by saying no, he's saying no, I don't disagree with you. If you tell somebody no, I don't disagree with you, guess what you're doing? You're telling them you agree with them. Okay? So that's what that comes down to. When Brendan tells him no, he's basically saying, yes, Tom Fassbender, I agree with your fake fact that you just made up. But Brendan didn't know it was a fake fact. But that's what Brendan's saying. That's what Brendan's no says. It's saying, no, I do believe that she had this tattoo. That's what it's saying. Dayline Often Lies. Brian Mueller, you meant did you think the Queso 2.0 report written and recorded one, Bobby, were different? The written one is more like it's not like a word for word thing. It's more of it's more of like notes about the broad topics that were discussed, kind of, I think. Exactly. He should have said, do you agree or disagree with me? And allowed Brendan to choose which word. Right. I don't disagree. That is grammatically a double negative. Yes, because you're using don't and disagree in the same sentence, and it's being said by the same person, right? So if I say I don't disagree, I'm using a double negative. But that's a no-no in the English language. Like, well, for the snooty whatever, English, geeks, right? Okay, hello. Sorry. My streaming software temporarily disconnected there. That was strange. So yes, what I'm getting at is, yes, if one person uses two negatives in a sentence, that's called a double negative, and it's a no-no, honestly. But yes, essentially, what happens in the exchange with Fassbender and Brendan is a double negative, where essentially it equals an agreement. But by Brendan saying no to disagreeing, he's basically saying yes, I agree. And so yeah, it's like a double negative, but it's not quite a double negative because it's actually two different people speaking in that term, in those terms. So it's, yeah. Anyways, this isn't an English class, but anyway. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm back. Yeah, that was weird. I got a little thing that popped up and told me that OBS had disconnected and that it was going to reconnect shortly, and it did. It looked like it was only down for about maybe 5 to 10 seconds. I've only ever heard math geeks. Oh, trust me, there are geeks out there in the world for just about anything that you can imagine. There are geeks out there that geek out on it. Trust me. I guess I'm an English geek and a grammar Nazi. Right, there you go. Grammar Nazi is probably the word that gets used for language and English and stuff. So, as I am an English teacher, there you go. My dad honestly would have been an English professor, honestly, if he hadn't gotten drafted to Vietnam. He got pulled out of college and sent to Vietnam, and when he got back from Vietnam, he was different, and I guess going back to school and becoming a professor were suddenly not something he sought to pursue, which was a bummer. But I tell you what, he didn't lose any of his, like, in our house, if you used improper grammar, like, oh my Lord, like, when we were, like, my dad would actually hit us. and he would discipline us. He would get very angry if we came through, if we would use Like if he told us enough times about not speaking a certain way, like number one, not using double negatives, not using the word ain't, not using no profanities were allowed in our household, none. You weren't, and especially racially charged ones, not allowed at all in our house, and if you used improper grammar or improper sentence structure, my dad would be all over you. It was funny, but anyway, enough about that. Exactly, Marissa S. That's a good way to look at it. It's basically, you're basically saying, it's basically like, yeah, like Marissa put it there. It's, do you disagree? No, I don't. You disagree, basically. It's, so it's I know it's hard for some people to see, but, and that's how this, that's how this has gotten all the way to the 7th Circuit Court. And even the 7th Circuit Court have put it in their decision going, I bet you people are too stupid to realize what we just did here. Yeah, I know they understood. I know the 7th Circuit majority judges understand the English language well enough to know what is happening in that control question, and yet they chose to use it the same way the state did anyway, because they think you and me and the rest of the world, everybody out here, all of us laymen, they just think we're a bunch of idiots and we won't give a damn. That's what they think, and that's what it is. Because it's hard for me to believe that these learned judges don't understand the English language well enough to realize that the control question is not what they say it is. Oh, well, thank you, Brian Muller. Did they say they found blood between the Dassey house and garage? Not that I know of. I heard something about possibly going back into the Dassey garage or something. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not sure. Agree to disagree with your disagreement. I know it's difficult because of the way that Tom Fassbender words it, but the fact of the matter is that the mechanics of the English language, I am 100% right. And trust me, folks, I am going to end up going down to a college and getting an English professor to tell all of you. Barbacks, let's see. You like Hughes a lot, but we love you anyway. Barb actually could have been there. She was coincidentally was at work in my mind, which is why they interviewed him at the time they did. Well, she wasn't at work. She was actually at court. She was at divorce court. I thought Catherine said that, but I thought I could be wrong. Learned judges in this case is a contradiction of terms. Erekose, you truly grasp this all and deal with us all jumping down your throat. I don't think anybody here's jumping down my throat, but I think people get headstrong. People are passionate about the case and stuff, and they kind of get their own ideas about things at times, and I certainly understand that. The control question is getting clearer to me. I find it confusing and want to understand more. Thank you. I totally understand. I do. I totally understand how it's confusing because Tom Fassbender uses that negative term of do you disagree? By using the term disagree, I know it's hard for people because then when Brendan says no, basically no, I don't disagree with you. When you say no, I don't disagree with you, you're basically saying I agree with you, right? I mean, just think about if somebody in your life was saying, let's put it this way. Somebody comes up and tells you they hang a 50-pound weight above your head, and they have something like a sword or a knife, on a little latch or something, and they come up and they tell you, do you disagree with me that won't kill you if that rope is cut? You're obviously at that point gonna realize what that person's asking you. because you obviously do, obviously that weight is going to fall on you and hurt you and kill you. And you're going to say, no, I don't agree with that. You're going to say, yes, I disagree with that wholly. I'm getting the fuck out from under this weight. Sorry about the profanity there. But you're going to be like, yeah, absolutely, I'm getting out from underneath this weight because I know that the weight is going to fall on me and hurt me. Right? That's how. So, yes, you can say, so you're going to say, no, I disagree with you. Or, well, that's anyway, that's a bad example. I'm going to have to work it out better for you guys. But basically, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to it, you're going to know what's what. So you obviously aren't going to agree with that person about the weight isn't going to hurt you, right? So reality is always going to take play in it. And you know that if somebody asks you, do you disagree with me? And you say, if you tell that person no, you're telling that person that you agree with them. That is just, I guess I hope one way for people to really understand that. But yeah, it's messed up because the way that Tom Fassbender asks in that way with the word disagree, instead of, why didn't he say, do you agree with me? Right? It's weird. It's just asking that way, and then for Brendan to say no, it makes it very confusing for people. But the fact is, the mechanics of the English language are just, they say, that's the way they work. That's basically a no, I agree with you. Fox Hills and threatened Barb with arrest if she tried to leave. I heard about that. Brendan clearly had a limited vocabulary. I wish that his lawyers would have used some of the calls as further evidence to further show his IQ and education level. Yeah. How can you choke someone that has their throat cut? Without being a bloody mess too, right? Karen language in general changes over time. We don't say whence anymore. Whence. Okay. Let's see. He wanted to slip up Brendan. Yeah, I think maybe that's what it was. Like he was just trying to trick Brendan somehow, and he was just, it's weird. But no matter what, when it comes down to it, Brendan was asked if he disagreed, and he said no. So that means he agreed. It's just, and I'll continue to explain this so that people can understand it, so that you can have confidence in understanding it. I will continue to talk about this until I'm blue in the face. I didn't get a bunch of t-shirts made up because I'm not sure of myself. He should have asked you, do you agree or disagree? Yeah, he could have done that. That would have been one way to do it. The kind of emotion is a lot of us feel. Only certain people's emotions are allowed or considered in the courtroom. Let's see, wood on the bullet and even wax. Yeah, that's a problem. It takes time to figure out double negatives and crazy. Yeah, I know it's real difficult, but like I said, I'm gonna end up going down and talking to an English professor so that we can just straighten all this out so everybody understands, so that you get it from somebody who's been who's been studying the English language all their life enough to become a professor at a college, and hopefully that will put this to rest for once and for all, so that people understand that by two negatives you create a positive. So by two negatives creates an agreement. Of course it was deliberately confusing. Absolutely, it was deliberately confusing. It's everything about it is confusing. The whole freaking coerced confession is confusing. It's an exercise in confusion. Today I was just thinking about myself, where art thou, Erekose? But then you posted this. Yeah. Sharon Sunshine, she was asking me too, and I haven't even seen her. She isn't even here. She fell asleep. Yeah, she must have fallen asleep. Amber, yeah. If you want to take a crack at it, go ahead, Amber. I mean, I as an English teacher, you might be able to say it better than I have, but yeah, essentially, go ahead. Comment section is yours. 72A. That's not bad considering that I kind of did this on short notice and only I think it said like 100 minutes when I set the schedule on it. Yeah, I figured she was sleeping because she was asking me if I was going to go live, and I told her I was and posted a link for her, but I didn't hear from her, so I figured she must have fallen asleep. You meant positively negative? Let's see. Does anyone have any questions about the whole double negative question and answer? Yeah, you guys, if you do, she's an English teacher, so I mean, she's going to tell you, what's what. It's, Let's see. LOL. The only other time negative is good is when you get blood work, and it all comes back negative. Well, thank you, Amber. Maybe, I don't know. Hey, let me ask you this, Amber. How are you about like being on camera? And if I know that puts a lot of people off. If that's a problem for you, how are you about maybe calling in like Dave did at one point, and you and I can talk about the control question and double negatives? What do you think about that? All right, maybe we can do that sometime. So, it's like I said, it's definitely a problem, and I know that the Seventh Circuit majority judges have taken enough English classes and everything. I mean, to be at least as smart as I am when it comes to English, I would think, right? I mean, seeing as I'm not a judge or even a lawyer, I would think, at least they're, know what I know about the English language. To know that is not saying what they say it says. It just isn't. It never was. It wasn't saying it when Wisconsin said it was saying that. It was never saying what they say it says. It is. It's just ridiculous. It proves just exactly how Brendan, when faced with the prospect of being in disagreement with his investigators, that he immediately, like a knee-jerk reaction, gave an answer that he felt was going to get him out of trouble quickly. He didn't realize it was a control question. He didn't realize that they didn't want him to do that. He was just reacting the way he had been the entire confession, the entire time, because he doesn't know it's a loaded question. He doesn't know that. He's just reacting as he normally does the whole time. So that's the very, very important parts of that. You really need to look into Google Hangout. You send Emma an invite. Yeah. Okay, Google. Okay, hold on. Google Hangout. You do realize that YouTube is kind of like my place, right? Writing myself a reminder. Because that's got to be like the third or fourth time you've suggested that to me. All right. The one thing that gets me about this case is that if this interview was done in the UK, due to Brendan's age, he would have obviously never been right. Other countries seem to have a much more evolved sensibility when it comes to juveniles than those who are potentially limited juveniles. So I hope we can one day catch up with that. It was messed up. Don't you disagree with me? Don't you disagree with me? So the question. So she's asking me, and to which point I'm going to say no. I don't disagree with you. It was messed up. YouTube is Google. I know, but She's talking about Google Hangouts. Is it really? I don't. Okay, well then I'll have to type it into a search field because it doesn't jump out at me on YouTube here, so I'll have to figure out what it is. I'll have to become familiar with it. If anyone wants me to cry on cue, just need to show me Brendan in that clip, right? I can imagine. I don't use Google Hangout, but I see it's built on my phone and PC. Built in my phone. Is it? Google Hangout? I'll look into it later. Let's see. That's the law here too. Manitowoc simply broke every law they could in this case. I don't know. I don't know. Seems like a lot of courts are fine with. I mean, I've already gotten several videos about wrongfully convicted juveniles because I like to do videos about as many as I can so that people see that it's happening. It happens a lot, and I want people to see the type of tactics that are used in those cases and that sort of stuff. The whole key here is awareness, so that eventually the people get involved and stop, and just decide not to allow any more of this crap to go on. Didn't Barb say she didn't give consent, but FB and Uyghur said she did? Well, she actually told them, they asked if they could pick him up from school, and what she said to them was, yes, as long as you bring him back. That was her caveat. Her caveat was, as long as you bring him back to school. They never brought him back to school. So, let's see. That's the law here too. Let's see. Yes, it can screen share on live. Screen share on live. Way vague. Google Hangout. Another button. When go live, you can use Google Hangouts as your software. It is basically the default for YouTube Live. Oh. Interesting. Okay. Juvenile is supposed to be questioned with parent present, even if they are too slow to know what Miranda rights mean. Yeah, but in the United States, that's not required. Most states don't have that requirement. See this then? Okay. She should never have consented to even that much. Well, that's probably true. I maintain that I still feel that Barb was bullied over and over and over again throughout all of this. Like Jody was bullied. The way that they went after the kids, the Dassey boys. I mean, just think about the people these investigators were going after. They're a real piece of works, man. Going after, people like Jody. Clearly a woman who's in the clutches of substance abuse and stuff. Barb, who is having to deal with the fact that her son is being put on trial for murder, and he clearly didn't do it. You know what I mean? And I just think they were bullying all these people. Barb, Jody, the Dassey boys, everybody who was young or who they felt was weak and they could manipulate. Makes me sick. Maybe you could do a live RE Google Hangout. Let's see, did you ever talk about the couple that made a video in the RV? Yeah, he was on last night. The guy from that couple, he was on the phone last night. He actually talked about seeing Steven at the gas station. See, do a YouTube search for Google Hangout. Lots of tutorials to step up. Yeah, I'll check it out. See, no one stood up to the bullies. That's true. No one, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Avery family, even Steve, just sat there talking to cops. No lawyer, no nothing. Of all people, Steve would have known. Yeah, certainly. Poor Barb, she was absolutely bullied. Yeah, I think so. Upset, not fighting hard enough. Yeah, she probably. I'm certain that her hindsight probably, gives her a lot of pain too. Given all the family went through with Stephen in '85, the entire family should have said no comment without a lawyer, no access without a warrant. It was like they didn't learn from poor Stephen. Yeah, I think you're probably right there, maybe a little bit. In the UK, a child isn't allowed to be interviewed unless a responsible person is present. Yeah, exactly. Other countries have a more evolved sense of treatment with juveniles, particularly ones that may be limited. So yeah. I picked up in the middle of that. Okay. Do you think Brendan told the truth when he said at the cabin S.A. wanted to run from the law? I could imagine Stephen said that. Certainly. As I've explained before. And that's the thing. That's what Tom Fassbender and Uyghur were, by the way, trying to get Brendan. They were grilling him about that. Trying to get Brendan to say he thinks that Stephen, was acting guilty or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that Stephen getting scared because they had taken over the salvage yard when he'd only just gotten out, exonerated 2 years previously, and he had this $36 million lawsuit going, and suddenly the cops are all crawling around the salvage yard and all that. It's not paranoia. It ceases to be paranoia when it's happened before. And it's funny. I know somebody on Facebook who, she's the wife of an FBI agent, and one time I made a video where I was saying that. I was essentially saying, I was talking about that. How Tom Fassbender and Uyghur were trying to make this big old deal about whether Stephen said it or not. If Stephen said it, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Because here's the point. Stephen had already been wrongfully convicted once. So it ceases to be paranoia when it's happened before. And when I said that in the video, apparently, because the wife I'm talking about, she said that her husband, the FBI agent, like chuckled when I said that, and because it's true, it's not paranoia anymore when it's happened before. It ceases to be paranoia when it's happened before. So anyway. Stephen admitted that he wanted to run, but after talking to Toby's dad, he decided that only someone who killed Teresa would run. So yeah, eventually Stephen did decide not to, but I mean, he was scared for good reason. He had very good reason to be afraid and scared that he might be, getting railroaded again. He had just cause to think that. Google Earth didn't exist then. Since when do search warrant give the cops straight 8 days? I know that's so many people have said they were beyond the scope of their warrant and all that, but I'm not sure because nobody seems to care. Looking for a site that has all the video testimony, if there is one that someone can recommend. Docuseries is choppy and selective. I don't know. I've often wanted to find all the trial testimony just to be able to play it to just play it straight too, but I don't think I've ever found it. Stephen was trusting, but not as stupid as people think. He just takes longer to think things through. I think that may be right. That was Stephen's reality. He may not be bright, but he's not stupid, right? Even if Stephen had run, they would have caught him and arrested him. Exactly, and he would have been in a worse situation. Absolutely. Yes, Stephen had a very good reason to be afraid of the police. Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry about that. Google Earth was released in 2001. Curious as to why SA was buying cans of gas. I don't know. I would imagine they have. I know when I was there, they have all kinds of various little machines that they got to run around there. Big forklift, a big, huge, heavy duty forklift. I was actually, when I saw it, when I went by it, I was like looking at it. I was all like this and everything. like this, and Carla noticed that I had stopped and was looking at it, and she's like, "Oh." She's like, "What are you looking at?" I go, "I'm looking at that big old sucker, man. Dude, can we take a test ride on that?" The answer was no. But anyway. Oh, thank you so much, Karen. Thank you very much, Karen Gainey. That's very nice. Very, very kind. It's been a long and winding Avery road. That leads to my door. Yeah, for the huge 10-foot fire, duh, right. Bobby Dassey update. As far as I know, he's in hiding or staying out of the public eye as best he can, as far as I know. I think Google Earth might have images if someone knows how to do a history search of the images. You might be able to find something. Sorry, I yawned again, dang it. Let's see. Makes sense now. Okay, cans of gas for golf carts, quads, working on cars. Yeah, I mean, a bunch of stuff that they have there that you know, and probably a mixture of regular gas and diesel, so they got to have both. So, yeah. See, but many country people just use a gas can for fuel. Know which is which, and know which is which, right? So yeah, that's what I think. I mean, because they just have a lot of little gadgets and everything all around that yard and stuff. So, and I would imagine they have blowers and chainsaws and things when they got to go, because I can imagine that foliage around there gets pretty crazy in the springtime. You know, like because oh my God, Wisconsin, man, that place is such a beautiful green place. But I gotta imagine in the springtime, man, that the bushes and the grass and things, everything. I just imagine it all goes nuts. Okay, Erekose, see the pic I sent you of Colburn? I did see that. Yes, I saw that picture. Yeah. Okay, what exactly is December 20th deal with KZ? Okay, that will be KZ filing her petition with the Court of Appeals about the CD, which she is saying is a Brady violation, which Judge Sukowitz basically just like denied instantly out of hand, essentially. So she's coming back to file that with the court on December 20th. And then like I said, there will be a process where the state will then have to respond to that, and then Zellner will get the chance to reply to the state's response, and then that's going to put it out into March, or May potentially, and the judges will have it, and it's hard to say how long they will take to make a decision either way. But while this is all going on, Stephen's other appeal is like on hold. The appeal with all of the bulk of the scientific evidence and everything that she's come up with, that appeal is still kind of on hold and waiting. So right now she's pursuing the Brady violation, because the Brady violation can immediately get a new trial, can immediately result in a new trial. So do you just bash people with this? I can't stop telling everyone this ridiculous story. Okay, what exactly is December 20th? Okay. So you've been a great talker because I get some sleep. Thank you, L. Fallon. We'll see ya. Let's see, don't forget the dog knew the gig was up, growling at the PD. If the Supreme Court would take on Brendan's case, how can BD's lawyers move back through the courts? New evidence. Well, they just have to come up with a new angle, a new aspect of evidence. They need a new piece of evidence, or something to emerge, something else to emerge about the way that the case was handled by the state, or something, whatever it is. But I feel confident that Laura Nyrider and Steve Drizzen aren't going to be giving up on Brendan. If he gets out in the right way, yes, He would. If he gets out on like an Alfred plea, no. He wouldn't be able to file a civil case if he got out on an Alfred plea. So, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So, this takes so long. What is Michelle J doing? What am I missing here? What's taking so long? Oh. Oh, my explanation was taking so long? Let's see. Absolutely, Brendan will. Let's see. Vote Walker and Schimmel out tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Everybody get out there and vote tomorrow. C'est la vie. Hasta la vista, Schimmel and Walker. If they go to retrial and are found not guilty, would they be able to have a civil suit, or only if exonerated? I would think at that point, I would think that they would be able to go after. I would think they would be able to go after the county and stuff still, and even the state, because if the retrial was based on a Brady violation, that's a screw up by the state. So therefore, they should be liable. I wonder what crime they will frame Brendan with when he's suing them for the wrongful conviction. Yeah. What's the vote tomorrow for? All the states tomorrow are voting for like governors and attorney generals and representatives for Congress and all that sort of stuff. It does, Michelle, and just think, meanwhile, BD and SA are sitting in jail at this very moment. Oh, you're saying the whole process takes so long. I get it. Yeah, it does. Is that about no Alfred plea? Yeah, I agree. No Alfred plea. So, all right. So, I think we've all had a nice little chat tonight. A little over an hour. I know I'm getting a little tired. I know some of you are probably getting pretty tired too. I know some people couldn't even join tonight because they were just like, oh, I'm too tired. I don't know. So hopefully I can try to get out. I can try to get these going a little bit sooner, folks. But I'll let you. I mean, basically, I will definitely try to give everybody. I'll try to always give you an hour of lead time. So I'll try not to just go live just like that. So if you check in here, you know, every night, there's a good chance you'll see if I've scheduled something. So that's I guess probably as best I can say that, to know. I honestly never know if I'm gonna go live or not. When I'm at work during the day, I don't know if I'm gonna get home in time. Oh, thank you so much, Michelle Saunders. Thank you so much. That's very kind. But I never know exactly when. So it's and I also don't know if I have a subject that I really want to talk about, or that I feel like I can, go ahead and do a live show and do about an hour's worth of material. So these are all things that I have to think about, obviously, and I love being able to provide this for everybody. I absolutely love being able to provide this for everybody, for all of us to get together and share and talk and have camaraderie and learn about the case. And I love talking about. I will talk about the control question until I'm blue in the face. So, I love the fact that I got a chance to talk about it again tonight. Thanks again for creating a platform. Absolutely. So I'll look into the Google Share Space or whatever. What was it called again? Hangout. Google Hangout. So I'll see what that's all about. Hopefully I won't have to switch software. I'd hate to have to do that, but we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what goes on with that. There might be something similar to Google Hangout that works with my software. So I might be able to look into that. But yeah. So anyways, good night, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with all of you. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. We'll see ya. Oh wow. I am back.